So let's start with the Steelers. And what an offseason that it's been. How about it to this point? But just to go through it quickly. So you sign Russ, you trade away Kenny Pickett, you trade for Justin Fields for a bag of, I said bag of balls last time. I don't even know if it was bad. I think it was more so like a kicking tee. And then you sign Pat Queen from your rival. You cut Patrick Peterson, a legend who is obviously past his prime, but you swap Deontay Johnson for Dante Jackson. Say that 5 times fast. You sign Deshaun Elliott and Van Jefferson, some under the radar signings. And let's not forget the Arthur Smith hire. So I wanted to hear where Drake was at. And I met up with Drake last weekend, and the title From the Darkness is literal. He's having a break from like the social media and internet side of things. So a lot of this stuff he hadn't heard about. So I did want to ask him in front of everyone where his head was at. He liked all the moves. He'd heard some of them just in conversation overall. And I think he's excited about where they're at. But for me, I want to talk about briefly with them, with all that they have done. Is it enough? And let's actually take it one step back first. What is it enough? Like at what point do you look at the Steelers at the end of next season and go, yep, that was it. Those were the moves that they wanted to do to get where they want to go. At what point is that? And for me, it's simply a playoff run. Not getting there. They've been there, obviously. They got there last year. Going around further, winning a game, winning 2 games. Yeah, Super Bowl would be nice. It'd be nice. Obviously, it'd be nice. But for the Steelers specifically, it's getting back to that brand of Steeler football when it comes to winning when it matters. And I do like the moves that they've done, and it puts them in a good spot to be competitive for it. Because if you look at it, the easy thing to say is, well, last year they got 10 wins, they got into the playoffs, and that was with bottom 5 quarterback play in the league. And at a minimum, Russell Wilson's a step up from that. And some people would argue a couple steps up from that. But even if he is just serviceable, that's still better than they've had in 4 or 5 years. So that can help them get there. Plus, the evolution of the offense will be a really big thing. I actually, as time goes on, I like the Arthur Smith hire. And I forgot to mention in their moves, they just signed Cordero Patterson, who obviously has worked with Arthur Smith. So all in all, I do like what they've done. Do I still think that they are able to, or do I think now that they're able to compete with the Chiefs? No, of course I don't think so. Do I think that they can compete better against some of these other teams? We know they play the Ravens well, and now adding in Pat Queen to the mix only helps that. And we know they play the Bengals tough. We know the Browns give them trouble, but also the Browns get trouble from others, so call that a wash. I'm curious to see how they would match up against teams like Buffalo, who has really had their number in recent years, I would say, or teams like Miami, who are obviously a lot more high-powered on offense. So it's a tough conference, and I will talk about some more people in it later on as well. But all in all, it's a step up, and it sets them up to take that next step that they want. But what if they don't? What if the Steelers, after all those moves that I just went through, are 9-8 or 8-1, or God forbid, Mike Tomlin has his first losing season? What happens? Like, what does it mean? So it got me thinking. And obviously the first place you go where the buck stops, and that's Mike Tomlin. I am starting to think, obviously I've been very vocal on my support for him and my belief in him. But you go another year of same old, and you made some changes to where you can't fall back on the unproven OC. You can't fall back on that excuse. You can't fall back on unproven quarterback. You can't fall back on not having the right corners in place on defense, because now all of a sudden you got Dante Jackson and Joey Porter Jr., and you still have yet to add pieces through the draft. So all the excuses will be gone. I don't think I can defend him anymore if next year. Now, this is obviously a big if. This is all hypothetical. If next year the Steelers fail to take another step this is their best chance. You will not have Russ on a $1 million contract ever again. You will not have any quarterback on that unless you are the 49ers with a quarterback drafted in the 7th round. This is a rare, rare opportunity where you were able to spend your cash and push your chips where you wanted them and get a proven commodity at quarterback. So because of that, Mike Tomlin will have nowhere else to go. Not in terms of getting other jobs, but in terms of where he can look as to a reason why they're not where they want to be. Obviously, reason number one for a lot of teams, and Steelers fall in that too, is lack of elite quarterback play. You won't get to have that anymore, though, because you only get so much time. You really only do, and then it's going to get to one of those things where maybe it is better to just bottom out really quick so you can hit the bottom and bounce back up, which I know some Steelers fans kind of want. They're tired of the mediocrity. So this is really a big make or break year, in my opinion, for a lot of the infrastructure in Pittsburgh. I think they looked at their team and they said, man, we've got some very nice pieces. TJ Watt is a generational type of player. Joey Porter Jr. is the most recent A prospect that you got in the draft. George Pickens is someone who a lot of people think are nice. And, you got some nice pieces at the O-line. You got a strong foundation. Now you got to make it happen. So that if it does not happen, Mike Tomlin's in trouble.